All right, folks, welcome back to episode 62 of the Gingeball podcast. We are switching it up. We were doing our NFL divisional previews. We'll get back to that next week. But first, we have the Prem back tomorrow. Arsenal kicking it off against Coventry, my squad, reigning champions. We have Hadi Basma here to break it all down. We're going to do our Prem table predictions. We're going to do some awards, player of the season, breakout players, all that good stuff. But first, Hadi, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Liverpool got me nervous going into the season, but we'll see how things go. I'm just excited for the Prem to be back, honestly.
Dude. I've been waiting. I've been waiting. I'm stoked. As I was telling you earlier, though, like I was just like not ready for it to be back.
Yeah,
But now that it's here, I'm stoked. As you said too before we got on, those Sundays now where you're watching the Prem in the morning and then watching Red Zone all day,
yeah.
like those are back finally. I was watching some preseason football. Unfortunately, Fernando Mendoza threw a tuna sub for a pick six right before we hopped on. Not great for his brand, but yeah, happy to be back. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with our Prem table predictions. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I can go ahead and start.
All right, sweet. And what we'll do is we'll go relegated squads and then we'll sort of work our way up the table and we'll
Yeah.
alternate. So I'll let you rip.
Yeah, so I think last year we were talking about how the promoted teams were just getting relegated right away every
Hmm.
single year. And last year we were like, dude, can that spell break? Like, is this the year? And we saw it with Leeds and Sunderland. Like, they stayed up, they looked great. But I do think that this year, these three promoted teams just don't look quite good enough, in my opinion. So I do have all three of them going down.
Ooh.
I do have Ipswich 18th, Coventry 19th. Hull, I think, is like I think if you're a betting man, like put all your money on Hall finishing last. I just don't see any way they stay up and any way that I think Ipswich and Coventry are slightly a level above them.
Yeah, I agree.
But I will say Ipswich they have a decent squad. Like in Coventry as well, like all right, but like I think Ipswich has the possibility of staying up. Like I think if there's one team to stay up, I think it's them. But when you look at the teams ahead of them, I just think it's kind of hard to see them staying up over any of those teams. So I don't know if you agree with me on that one, but
Oh, I
yeah.
definitely do. And honestly, I've seen a lot of people having Coventry stay up, and I don't think it's like a bad shout. Obviously, they
Mhm.
were the championship winners, like 95 points. Frank Lampard is the manager. He has prime experience. It makes sense. But same as you, I'm looking at these squads, and I look at Ipswich, who was recently in the Prem, and they bring in Florentino Luis from Burnley, Sasa Lukic, who I loved at Fulham, the midfielder.
Yeah.
Issa
Yeah.
Diop from Fulham and Ciso from Brighton.
Yeah.
Like those are big signings, and
Yeah.
it's honestly it's similar to when last year when we talked about Sunderland.
Sunderland. Yeah,
I know you were
exactly.
very bullish, and that was a great pick from you. You had them pretty high up your table, and it was a similar conversation where it's like these are guys who not only like have been in the Prem, but like they've made impacts in the Prem.
Mhm.
And for some good sides like Fulham with Lukic and Diop, like they had good sides that they were in where they were fighting to be in the top half of the table. So I think I agree with you. Gary O'Neill too as the manager. I don't not a great run for him his last time in the Prem, but I mean he's Prem proven, I guess. So yeah, Ipswich, I agree with you. Of those three, that would be the one that I would have
Mhm.
staying up.
Yeah.
So your order was what? Hull, Coventry, Ipswich?
Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think I think when you look at the signings from Coventry and Ipswich, especially like those two, like I think those are great signings. Like Coventry, like Awani from
Yeah.
Forest, like he's a decent player when he's had to fill in for Chris Wood and Igor Jesus last year. Like he looked decent. Like obviously not lighting it up, but he looks good. And Gustavo Hammer or Hamer or whatever, however you
Yeah.
say it, like when he used to play for Sheffield United
It
in
was
the Prem,
good.
like dude, he's a quality player,
Hmm.
really good player. And then Ipswich, like you said, Florentino Luis, Issa Diop, and Ciso especially look great players. But the biggest things for me is those managers, man. Like Gary
Yeah.
O'Neill, Frank Lampard, like those guys they just do not have great histories. Like in the
Yeah.
Prem, they were just always like not even battling relegation, but just like solidifying
Yeah.
relegation. They
Do
just
you think
never
there's
looked
any
good.
chance? Because I know Frank, like, for him, it's the Chelsea situation where, like, he really just kind of had a tough spell there. But I feel
Yeah.
like at Derby and then with Coventry, like, I feel like he's had some decent spells now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he sort of like reclaims his stature and like becomes a real manager.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to say because like the translation from
Yeah.
championship League One to the Prem is like, I mean, it's huge. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, we've seen teams go up and down. Like, it's a huge jump. So it, I don't know. It's just difficult to say, and especially like, I mean, we'll probably talk about this later. Like, so many teams in the Prem have new managers, and
Yeah.
honestly, I think a lot of the new managers are good hires. Like, they're really good hires.
Yeah, there's a couple, especially one that I really, really like.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah, I agree.
just it's hard to look past those new managers and then look at Frank Lampard and Gary O'Neill and be confident
Yeah.
like staying up.
Yeah,
So
O'Neal especially. I'm just like, it's just tough. I don't think he's
yeah.
like an awful manager. It's just like it just reeks of getting relegated. But yeah,
Exactly.
similar to you, I have the exact same three in the same order. I have Hull 20th, Coventry 19th, and Ipswich 18th. I really wanted to put one of them up, but I just do think like the 17 that are above them right now, I just think they're a level above. And maybe like we're underselling the drop off from some of these clubs. Like I
Yeah.
do think there will be some clubs with some major drop offs, but I don't see it being enough for one of these three to stay up. So what are your 17 to 10 in the Prem?
So I mean, every year this is such it's so hard to predict this because especially because even if teams get off to a hot start or a bad start, like there's going to be managerial changes. There might be a
Yeah.
few signings in January that change things, but as of right now, I mean, I probably have some bold shouts, but I got Palace 17th. I got
Hmm.
Newcastle 16th, which I think is probably the craziest one.
I don't hate that.
Sunderland 15th, Brentford 14th, Leeds 13th, Everton, Fulham, and then Forest 10th. So Forrest, I think, I mean Glasner, we've seen with what he did with Palace. He looked really like Palace were just like brilliant under
Yeah.
him. The league finishes might not have been great, but the FA Cup and the Europa League or the Conference League, like they did well there. Dude, their signings look good. I like Gonzalo Garcia and Palacios, like those guys.
Yeah, I'm excited about Palacios.
Yeah, they look like quality players. Everton is just one of those teams, like, dude, they're just like steady
David
mid-table.
Moyes.
Yeah, Leeds, they haven't made huge changes besides Harry Wilson, but dude, end of last season,
Dude,
man,
I
Leeds were
I
really
really
good.
like Leeds this year.
Yeah, I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin is just like steady up front there. Muharemovic at the back looks
Hmm.
good. So I just think there's like a good amount of continuity there, and then you're adding a spark with Harry Wilson. Brentford, not much has changed there. I think Igor Thiago takes a big step back. I mean, I think last
I
season,
could see that.
I think he might be like the definition of a one season wonder. Sunderland's second half of last season, they did not look good. So I think they'll take a step back. Newcastle, I mean, they're losing Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
They lost Bruno Guimaraes. They lost Tonali. Joelinton is like hurt again. Lewis Hall might be out the
Lost
door.
Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, and Gordon as well. Like I just think there's too much change there, but I will say their managerial hire was looks pretty good.
Hmm.
And then similar to like with Palace, like losing Glasner, I think is just I think that's like a big loss for
Yeah,
them.
it's tough.
So we'll see how these teams deal with these things. I don't think any of them have made like significant signings where you're like, whoa, like they look like they've really like prepared for this season. So I don't think any of these teams are going to really take some big crazy steps. But I mean, you could between all of them, I could see any changes in the table.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think I have a similar list to you in a different order, but the clubs are basically the same. I went with I went with Fulham 17th. I'm a little bit skeptical about Arbeloa just because I feel like it's kind of just like a name brand hire. Like it's kind of just
Yeah.
like you think of Arbeloa, it's like, oh, Madrid, he was a great player, like all of that. And
Mhm.
like I really rate the Gonzalo Garcia signing. I think that's great. I think Palacios. I mean, I don't know if you saw some of the preseason stuff with him, but
Yeah.
he
That's
looked
what,
really, really
yeah.
good. So, I mean, if those are like home run signings, then yeah, they could easily be up near 10 or 12. But Palace, I agree with you. I think losing Glasner's massive.
Mhm.
They've also just endured so much like overturn with their squad. They lose Lacroix to Chelsea now, in addition to already losing Eze and Wharton's now. I mean, I don't think that they're willing to sell, but it's just a lot for them to overcome. Sunderland, I think we had them in the same place in 15th. Yeah, I think them with extra matches now because they're going to be in Europa League. I think
Oh
it's going to
yeah.
be
I didn't
really
even think about
tough.
that.
playing multiple match game weeks with a pretty thin squad. They didn't really sign anyone. I know they kept Shaka, they kept Brian Brobby, and some of their big players, Sadiki as well, but they didn't really sign anyone to bolster this squad.
Hmm.
And we've seen this so much. Like we saw this with Newcastle when they were playing, 2 matches a week, they slid down the table and I think finished 13th last year. So I think something similar for them. Bournemouth in 14th. I like the squad, but similarly, they're going to be playing in Europe as well. And it's a new manager in Marco Rose, who I do like the CV from him. Like he has a good
Yeah.
history. I believe he managed in Germany and Austria, and he was part of the Red Bull system and had some good squads there. So I like the hire. It's just Iraola was so great for them. As you know, obviously he's managing your club, but losing him, I think, will be big, and the multiple matches a week, I think, will be tough. Everton in 13th, as you said, David Moyes. He'll have them between 13 and 9. I could
Yeah.
see them anywhere in there. Forest, I agree with you. I'm higher on Forest than I think a lot of people. You had them in 10th, I have them in 12th. I think Ousmane Diomande was a great signing. A
Yeah, I
center
agree.
back. That back line's gonna be really good. Nico Williams, Diomande, still have Murillo. The midfield's solid still with Gibbs White. And then they have, some attacking flair with Igor Jesus, and maybe you get a better season I'd enjoy. But yeah, I think Forest, and Glasner's a great manager. Like I
Hmm.
could really see them. I wouldn't be shocked if Forest are like back to the form they were in a couple seasons ago.
Yeah.
And like, I was gonna ask you about this. What do you think? I know Marinakis has been the center of like a lot of discourse just because of how quick he is to fire managers and how sort of rash he seems to be. Do you think he has them headed in the right direction though as a club right now?
I think he's a dumbass. Like I actually like he's not even my club's owner and I like despise him. Like I think he's just such an idiot. Like last season, how many they had three? Might have been four man. Like they
Yeah,
they
because
were just like going through managers like this. Like you have to give him an opportunity. And he was just I mean, and some of the stuff he would say in the press and whatever, he's just an idiot. But I think he's gotten really lucky to after all that to fall back and like have Glassner as your manager. Like
it's
I think
honestly
he's like
crazy.
really fortunate. Like after all this bullshit that he's been doing, like to end up with Oliver Glasner as your manager, like this guy is just like he's almost gotten like blessed to just have this like easy way out. But yeah, I think he's going to be a big factor in their future this season. Like if he keeps his bullshit up, like he's
Especially
going to
with,
screw.
and I don't think Glasner's a man. Like similarly to Ange, where like somebody with pedigree who's, won European trophies. I don't think Glasner's the guy who's gonna like put up with that,
Yeah,
like that
I
level of
agree.
like hawking over him kind of
I
thing.
agree.
So I could definitely see that being a nightmare. Also, it's so tough, especially with like Nuno and Ange, like to be Forest and to get managers of that level. I know Nuno's had some tough spells elsewhere, but like to get managers of that level at Forest, like you should do your best to keep, especially Ange. Like that was a
Yeah.
huge hire for them, and to just
Hmm.
give him a month and then sack him is
Yeah.
absolutely insane, and then go to Sean Deitch after that.
Yeah.
But
Unreal.
yeah, I mean, I hopefully for Forrest and their fans, Glasner's here to stay because I do genuinely believe like he's a top manager,
Oh,
and like Marinakis will spend like they buy players and they're active in the transfer market, so I think if he gets the backing and they just kind of let him cook, I think he could
yeah.
have a really impressive project here at Forest. But yeah, I'm gonna go Newcastle in 11th. I think we went opposite here with Fulham and Newcastle with the directions that we think they're going. I think we actually flipped them. Yeah, you have Newcastle 16th. I had Fulham 17th. But yeah, I think I kind of like Castle. I like the hire. I think he's
Yeah,
kind of
I do.
fun. His similarly to Marco Rose has a good CV abroad, and I just think that he brings some energy there. I think losing Eddie Howe is brutal. I that whole situation was really bleak. I was
Yeah.
following along because Arsenal was involved with the Bruno G transfer and all of that. Like I was seeing a lot of Newcastle journalists and that whole sort of like 12 months honestly where they kind of just lost their entire squad and
Hmm.
manager
Yeah.
was just really tough. But I gotta say, like, I really like some of the signings they made. Like Bazumata Torre, the winger, the young winger from Hoffenheim, he burst onto the scene in the Bundesliga. I think he had like 15 assists or something last season for them. So I think that's a big signing. You get Bamba, and then Sean Stur from Ajax, the midfielder as well. I think he's really fun, only 18 years of age. So we'll see. I think it's going to take some time for that squad, but I think there's something about Newcastle and their talent identification. I just feel like in a similar way to like how Bournemouth and Brentford just kind of find players out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I feel like Newcastle are really good at replenishing, and they made an unbelievable profit on the sales of Tenali and Bruno G and all these players. So I think actually, although this was a really, really dark offseason for them, I also think there's a lot of bright spots. And I wouldn't be shocked. They're playing one match a week now, no Europe. I wouldn't be shocked if it's not as bad as people think.
Yeah, you keep talking about like the one match a week stuff, and I always forget to like honestly factor that in
It's
because I think
huge.
people underestimate how big a deal it is to like go from playing in the Champions League and the Europa League and whatever, like you're playing these midweek matches to one match a week. Honestly, now I'm sitting here and I'm like, damn, I didn't even think about that. Like it's a huge factor, especially for a squad like this that wants to get used to each other, and it's like a lot of new players. They need time on the training pitch. So yeah, I agree with you there. So I mean, I could see it. Like I could see the flip-flop between Newcastle and Fulham, like you were saying. But I look at Newcastle's midfield and I'm big on I think midfield's by far the most important,
Yeah.
area of the pitch. And I mean, they just lost all like they basically lost all three of their
Yeah.
starters. Like
Yeah.
it looks bleak. Like it looks really
Yeah.
rough for them. So I'm really curious to see how it goes. But I mean, Osula up front looks
I
great.
do like
Harvey
Asula.
Barnes still looks good.
Hmm.
Hopefully Alonga can find his feet if they keep Lewis Hall looks good. So we'll
Vissa
see.
playing a little better now.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
see.
So
Yeah.
we'll see.
I agree with you. I think Newcastle's really strange because I could see this going either direction for them, and that's kind of why I landed somewhere mid-table. Is like I could see some of these players who last season for them like really just couldn't find their footing, like Vissa, like Alanga, like some
Mhm.
of them the kind of returning to their form a bit, and then
Yeah.
this looking a lot better, and even Voltamata, like maybe he finds a role as sort of like a false nine. I feel like they Eddie Howe really did. If there's one thing that losing Eddie Howe might benefit them is I feel like he was a bit rigid with his lineups, and I don't think he ever really figured out how to use Voltamata. And I think
Oh yeah, I
Voltamata is a
agree.
really talented player, maybe not best suited for the Prem, but yeah, I think maybe them sort of toying with this group and some guys returning to form could help. But there's also a world where it looks really, really bad, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, dude, the beginning of the summer, before all the stuff happened in transfer market or whatever, like I was like, dude, I could see Newcastle going down. Like
yeah,
I genuinely was like thinking it.
honestly, yeah.
Like when you really think about like the mood around the fan base, like losing Isak last summer
Yeah.
and like now losing Tonali, Bruno G, and then if Lewis Hall ends up going to United, who knows? Like, I mean, just like the morale around the club, and
Yeah.
that is one of those clubs like the stadium and the fan base plays such a big factor. Like, I mean, I'm sure like when Arsenal goes to St. James Park, like those first like 30 minutes when you're playing there, you're like, holy shit, like
Yeah.
this stadium's like insane.
Oh,
Like
I hate when we play
if the
there.
fans aren't behind them, like I think that's a club where like if you don't have that 100% support from the fans, like it could go downhill real fast.
Yeah, 100%. And but on the flip side of that, I will say like I think they're going to be supportive of this manager at least in the beginning. Like they'll give him time, and there were even rough
Mhm.
spells with Eddie Howe where like I think a lot of other clubs you'd have much more backlash and like
Yeah.
asking for him to be sacked and all this stuff. Whereas I think Newcastle supporters are very patient with their squad. It could be more difficult now with a lot of these younger guys playing a lot, but we'll see. Moving on, in 10th I had Leeds. Similar to you, like I think they don't really lose much this offseason. They bring in Harry Wilson, who I love. I'm a huge fan of. He's brilliant. I think this is gonna be a really fun squad to watch.
Hmm.
I don't think it's like the best defensive squad in the Prem, but attacking wise, they have so many options now with, Calvert-Lewin, Harry Wilson, Okafor, even Aronson. So they're going to be a fun squad to watch. And I could see this being like a really frisky side. And
Yeah.
I think for them last year, they were in like the 14, 15 range. I think for them this year, a success would be getting up into like that Brighton, Bournemouth tier of club. Uh,
Yeah.
and I kind of think I kind of think that's where this project has been leading is like getting them into that tier of teams that can like sneak into Europe every odd year. So yeah, I'm pretty high on this lead squad, and I'm excited to watch them.
Yeah, dude, I think the James Trafford signing is
Oh yeah, and try I didn't even bring that
so good.
up.
Yeah, I know. I forgot about
Yeah,
it too until I looked down. Like Trafford is, I mean, the fee is a bit questionable signing him for more than
is
City signed
40.
him, but
Yeah.
whatever. Like you spend money, whatever. But I mean, Trafford is, I think he's so good. Honestly, I think City should have kept it. I honestly think City,
Dude,
like,
Donnarumma's been pretty shocking.
yeah,
Like,
like I genuinely think like it's
yeah.
crazy to say like James Trafford like genuinely could have been a better option for City than Donnarumma. Like I mean I've always been a Donnarumma hater, but like
Yeah.
James Trafford is a brilliant goalkeeper, especially considering the homegrown status and the age difference. Like but I think he'll be great for Leeds.
Yeah, how the other thing I wonder about Trafford though is like how long do you think Leeds could hold on to him if he does end up becoming like the England number one in a couple years? Like you know
Yeah, I
that
mean
like somebody like big clubs are gonna come knocking after that.
Yeah, I mean, I could 100% see like a Chelsea. Like, I mean, there's
Exactly.
no way they feel confident in Robert Sanchez being their long-term goalie. Like, you could definitely see him being the one that fills like the shoes, and even Spurs, like with Kinski this season, and yeah, you could maybe one or two seasons.
Yeah, yeah. But as you said though, that is an absolutely massive, especially considering what they had at goalkeeper before, bro. What
Meslier.
they were dealing with last year. Yeah, Arsenal man Melier. With curious signing there from us. But yeah, this is just a massive upgrade. It kind of reminds me of when Brentford signed Kelleher. It's like that kind of signing, which like goes under the radar because I don't think people fully appreciate the impact that like a really, really quality goalkeeper can have on a
Yeah.
side. But yeah, I think it's similar to that, where like he could have a massive, massive impact.
Yeah, and he's great with his feet. Like, it's not
Yep.
even just the shot stopping; he's great with his feet. And I think people underestimate that. Like you'll see with City with Donnarumma, like him not being good with his feet, like
Yeah.
impacts their build up like so much, and it'll help Leeds a ton.
Yeah. No, I'm high on Leeds. How about your 9 to 5 here?
Yeah, so I mean, this is where we get juicy. Like this is what
Yeah, here we go.
people want to hear about. So I have Bournemouth ninth. Bournemouth. Dude, I really don't even know how to feel about him. Like
Yeah.
losing Areola, but like we said the same thing about Brentford last season. We said the
Yeah.
same thing about Bournemouth last season. Like we said that stuff. But I could see them doing really well. Like they have a good squad. They haven't really lost anyone too significant this season besides Senesi, really,
Yeah.
unless I'm forgetting anyone.
No,
But
I think
actually, Krupi's foot injury will be that could be a big deal. But I could still see them working it out. I got Villa eighth.
mhm.
Brighton seventh, Spurs sixth, and Chelsea fifth. Villa, I think
They're tough
they're
for me.
going through what we were talking about with Brentford and Bournemouth last year. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, they're about to lose Konsa. They might lose Emmy. They lost Tielemans. They lost Rogers. They might lose Watkins. So I think that's a lot of change for them. They're still in Europe, but they still have Unai Emery. So I
Yeah.
think they'll still be in that top half of the table. But I could very well see things looking a bit like rough for them. But I do rate the João Gomez signing to
Mhm.
replace Tielemans. I do rate Ian Maatsen stepping up for Luca Dean, who I'd even say he's left.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then there's Brighton. I think Brighton is, I really, really rate their squad. The only thing that I think that could be a bit of a barrier for them is being in Europe this season. But I still think they have a pretty deep squad. Like
Yeah,
when
in
you look at
Conference
their,
League, I feel like they can rotate a bit in
yeah,
Conference League and
yeah,
still kind
yeah,
of progress.
I agree. But even when you look at their squad on paper, they have numbers. Like they
Yeah.
have quantity and depth, and I think they have quality and depth as well. So I think they'll do pretty well in Europe. And then Spurs and obviously the top six is it's always really hard to gauge with all the new managers and stuff
Yeah.
and the new signings and everything. But Spurs ended the season really well under De Zerbi, like despite battling relegation,
Yeah.
and they have made some really good signings. I mean, I rate their
Pains me, but
signings.
yeah.
Savinho for almost 100 mil. Like, I mean, you can question how much they're spending, but they're good players. Savinho, they're targeting Gakpo. Looks like they're going to get
I
Marmoush.
was gonna say, I think they're gonna do a double on City, yeah.
Yeah, Vaneka and Senesi at the back, Mateus Fernandez. I mean, they're getting rid of that bum Vicario. Like, I,
Yeah.
I think Spurs are set up to do really well. I wouldn't be surprised if they're battling for like for fourth, honestly.
No
So
Europe for them too.
yeah. Oh yeah, no Europe again. I forgot
Yeah.
to even rate that in. So Chelsea fifth. Alonso is a brilliant manager. They've
Hmm.
made some good signings at like fullback and Rogers and everything. So the only thing I could question with them is their width. It looks like Alonso is going to play a 3-4-2-1,
Hmm.
and the width is going to come from the fullbacks. They're going to have like Rogers and Palmer as part of the front three. I'm I've never really been a big fan of relying on your wing backs as your width, with like Palestra and like maybe
Yeah,
Pedro Neto as
I don't know how I feel
wing
about
back.
that.
Yeah, so I don't know how to feel about that. It looks like they're keeping Enzo, so Enzo and
Yeah.
Caicedo. So Lacroix, I rate that signing. So I don't know. I don't know. I could definitely see like Brighton, Spurs, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, City. Like I could see a pretty volatile 2 through 6 there, to be honest.
So it's interesting. It feels like you're sort of grouping Brighton in with some of those other bigger
100%.
clubs. Yeah, yeah,
I if honestly, if it wasn't for Europe, I would have Brighton like
yeah.
probably in that top 6. I genuinely am pretty high on
Dude,
Brighton this
Hertzler is a
season.
great manager too.
Yeah, and like Pascal Grow and
Yeah,
Hinshelwood's a pretty good player,
I do
like
like him, yeah.
Vuskovic at the back.
Who's the Greek forward that he played pretty sparingly last year?
Costolas,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it is.
I kind of rate him.
Yeah, like him, Diego Gomez, like one of those
Hmm.
like Paraguayans,
Oh yeah, he's back. Yeah,
yeah, it looks like we bid for Minte today, but I don't think they're gonna get rid of him.
yeah.
Like they just they just have a good squad.
Matoma,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so I could see all those guys carrying them, but yeah, again, like Europe is just I think that's a big barrier for them.
Yeah, no, I do like Brighton. Also, I will say, like last season, there were very few matches for Arsenal where I was like, we were outplayed. At Brighton away last season, they dominated us. Like we
Yeah,
came out of that with a result, but that was, I mean, there was a few matches last season where we were like vastly outplayed, but that was one where I was like, wow, like this Brighton side is like serious. Like this is,
they've like even like last like few years, like they're capable of outplaying like the
yeah,
big squads. Genuinely looking back on the last few years, like there might be only like once or twice where Liverpool's had like more possession than Brighton
yeah.
in a game at like
And
at
you
their
look
stadium.
at yeah, and like you'll look at their squad and there's quality, but like the squad that they set up with that day when they outplayed us, you would think that an Arsenal side, in
Mhm.
first in the league would be able to take care of them. But yeah, I mean, I really think Hertzler is like one of the best managers in the
Yeah,
league.
exactly. Yeah.
I don't know how long they're gonna be able to hold on to him, but I mean, I think they're kind of in the sweet spot where like they're overachieving, but they're not like, finishing in the top four where like,
Yeah,
a
I
bigger
agree.
club's gonna come in to snatch him. But yeah, in that 9 to 5, I think we might have had the exact same clubs. Oh no, no, I had Bournemouth out because I had them in 14th just because of the new manager. But I have Brighton 9. I feel like I should have had them a bit higher. Brentford in 8. I really like I like what Brentford did. They didn't do a ton in the transfer window, but they bring in Mamadou Sangare from Lens. I think he's brilliant. I'm excited to watch him. And then they only really lose Reece Nelson at the end of his loan, who wasn't really even getting like
Yeah,
real minutes for them. So I think Brentford, Keith Andrews, another I put him in like that Hertzler kind of category. I
yeah,
think I think he's a great manager. And then I have Villa in 7th. I really struggled with them because, as you said, like they lost so much from this squad. And if they do
yeah.
end up losing Konsa, which it looks like they will, to Arsenal, that's going to really hurt their back line. It looks like Emmy's back, even though he tried his hardest to get a
Every
sale.
year.
It's so funny, bro. The best was last season when he did like the goodbye after
Yeah.
the match. And then it was just like, yeah, actually, like, Man U's not going to sign you. Oh, it's so good. But Villa, like, I still I look at their squad and I'm like, it's still there's so much talent. You bring
Yeah.
in Monzambi, and you still have John McGinn, Hattie's boy Monzambi, and then you have Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old forward. He looked really good against
Yeah,
PSG in the
I
Super
agree.
Cup. Yeah, Joao Gomez, as you said. But yeah, Garnacho, we'll see what that looks like. But yeah, Villa with Unai, I don't think they've ever finished outside of the top 7 with Unai. So yeah, I'm gonna stick them there. And then I have Spurs. I agree with you, man. I think the business they did, including Savinho, which I didn't even have in the prep because he just signed today. And if they get Marmoush over the line as well, like the options they'll have in attack, they might be serious, man. Like they're good. We haven't lost to them in I think 4 seasons. I think this year I would be pretty shocked if we did the double on them again with
Yeah.
the talent that they've brought in. But yeah, man, I think De Zerbi's a great manager too. I think Spurs are going to be back. And I said this last year. I think I had them around the same spot, 5 or 6 last year, and they were shit again. But but I think this year they'll be back. And then I had United fifth. I don't really rate Carrick. I think he's done a great job sort of picking up the reins after Amarim left. And to be fair to him, like he brings in Mainu, he sort of sheds the fat, he changes the formation and sort of just like makes the squad make a ton more sense. And they shot up the table and finished third. But they're gonna have Champions League this season. I think they made some great signings. Tielemans, I love. Andre Santos, I think, was under the radar. Carlos Baleba, if they do, I think they're getting that over the line. Morenstein said today. So that midfield's going to be so much improved, even though I think Casemiro had sort of a bounce back last year. But I just think that midfield's going to be a lot better. But I think that the squads that I have in the top four just edge them out. I wouldn't be shocked if this is the one where I look stupid about, but I'm gonna put
Yeah.
United in five now.
Yeah, it's like again, like it's really hard with United to really gauge them. I mean, when you look at their options up front, I mean, dude, they have Šeško, Rashford, Cunha, Bruno, Mbeumo, Diallo, Patrick Dorgu. Like those are, I mean,
I
that
love Dorgu.
phenomenal depth up
Yeah.
front. But then you look at the back and you look at their fullbacks, and you're like Luke Shaw, Matsurawi,
If
and
they get Lewis Hall, then it's different. But
yeah, it looks completely different. But like those three as fullbacks, you're like, oh, that is just like it's like
yeah,
dog shit.
like yeah,
And
who's is it? It's Mazraoui and Delo again at right back.
yeah, but I don't they haven't made any signings at like
Yeah.
right back or any like so you're just like like but that run of form they went on at the end of last season like was incredible. I think I saw
Hmm.
something like they were like I think they had the most points per game since Carrick came in. Like
Yeah.
it was brilliant. But again, they weren't in Europe. They were knocked out of both domestic cups. Like I mean, they had like two or three different points where they had like almost a month in between games. So
Yeah.
I think it is a bit like of a like false interpretation to look at them and be like, oh, they were amazing last season. So we'll see how that goes. But I think like again, it's always difficult to do these podcasts and make these predictions like right before the season because this window still has like
Yeah.
what I think a
Like
week and a half
yeah,
left.
we have no idea if they just sign Lewis Hall tomorrow and then
Yeah,
suddenly their fullback situation is fixed.
yeah. So it's difficult, but again, like I was saying, like I mean, I think 4 through 7 or 4 through 8 is just like so volatile. Like
Hmm.
no prediction is really like wrong. So
I would even go further. Like I think like 2 through 8 is like I really could see
yeah,
a
I
lot of
agree.
these positions with like you and I have such different top fives, I just realized. And let's get into that. What's your 4-1?
So like I said, I have United fourth, and then this. I mean, this could very well be me being biased, but I have City third, United or Liverpool second. Liverpool for me, it I think Liverpool more than any other club this next week and a half is extremely important.
Yeah.
I think our signings for this last few positions, those last few holes that we have, is 1,000 times more important than anyone else. Like getting Barcola over the line, getting one more winger, whether it's Mbai from PSG or Minte from Brighton. We still have a hole at like I mean we still have Jeremy Frimpong starting at right back and
Yeah.
like Bradley's still out for until
Hmm.
probably at least January. Joe Gomez is hurt again, like always. Arujo is probably our backup right back right now. Like that, like I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah.
We just lost Curtis Jones and we're not replacing him. Like, so there's a lot of holes in the squad, but Areola, I think his football is just brilliant. Like
Yeah.
I think the pressing and everything just suits Liverpool as a club so well that if
That's
things
the
do go
Jurgen
right,
Klopp, yeah.
yeah, no, it's like perfect. I think if Florian Wirtz and Isak get going, like I think everything looks really good offensively. But like if we don't sign that center mid, if we don't sign, we're not going to sign it right back. I know that's not going to happen. So I think if we don't sign that center mid, like Gravenberch, Soboslai, McAllister in midfield, like But and I don't want to overreact to the Community Shield, but City looked goddamn
Yeah,
awful,
they look bad.
absolutely awful. And their midfield, which is what they've been built on for the last
Yeah, like
decade,
is Kovacic gonna be like back in the side? Like what is
dude, it's Elliot Anderson, Kovacic, and Nico Gonzalez.
who I think they're selling as well. I think Nico Gonzalez, like
Yeah,
Newcastle, I know has been sniffing around for him.
he
So
might go too. So like, and it looks like they're not going to get Enzo
I don't
Fernandez.
know. I'm still not sold. I still kind of think they're just gonna break the bank on Enzo like the
Yeah,
last
I
week of the
mean,
window.
knowing they're bored, I wouldn't be surprised. But even
Yeah.
with Enzo, like
Yeah.
Anderson, Enzo, like I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, up front, it's still the same team that it was last year. At the back, still the same team. So like they look great, but question marks around Donnarumma, question marks around Enzo Maresca. Like
Definitely.
I don't feel great about City this year. I really don't. So I could definitely see Liverpool finishing above them if we get the depth, or if we can like crawl to January and make that depth signing that we need by January, then I think we could definitely finish second. But yeah, I'm just City. I don't know, man. City's just it's not doing. They're not doing it for me this year.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with you. I think when I look at the table, so I have in my 4-1, I have Liverpool 4, Chelsea 3, City 2, Arsenal 1. Liverpool, I agree with you. I think I really struggle with him a lot because I think Isak to me is I think his return to form feels kind of obvious to me. Like I think
Mhm.
I would be shocked.
Absolutely.
The only thing I wouldn't, the one thing I would be a little bit scared about is like maybe a re-injury.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
form wise, I would be shocked if he doesn't have a good goal scoring year. Verts, I think I worried at first that like the Prem just wasn't for him, like the physicality of it, everything.
Yeah.
But I also just struggle to believe that he won't find better form this season. And yeah, I think there's holes in the squad, but I still think that Iraola is a great manager. I think it'll probably take some time to sort of gel to his style of football,
Yeah.
but I think once they get all the players in, if you get Barcola in, that's absolutely massive.
Brilliant.
Like that's
Brilliant.
that's when you start to see like him and Isak linking up and Verts behind them. Like that's that you're starting to get back to like the way Liverpool looked at the height of the Klopp era,
Mhm.
attacking wise. And then Chelsea, I really rate what they've done this
Yeah,
offseason. And it
I agree.
is very contingent, as you said, on them keeping Enzo. But getting Lacroix, I thought was huge. Morgan Rogers is class. I do wonder like what the fit will be with him and Cole Palmer. Like, how do they sort of figure that out? Is one of those things where like you kind of force it and that starts to become a problem. We'll have to
Exactly.
see. But yeah, I think they're improved defensively. I think losing Andre Santos was kind of a bigger deal than people maybe have made it out to be. I think he was very good for them down the stretch last season. And if they do end up losing Enzo, then that midfield's going to be pretty shocking.
Yeah.
Like that they're gonna be in real trouble. But I trust Xabi Alonso. I think he's
Mhm.
class. I'm surprised that his comeback was to Chelsea to the Prem. I really thought like him to Liverpool was like
It seemed so
done.
obvious.
Yeah, it felt like the most obvious thing of all time. So him going to Chelsea was pretty surprising to me. But yeah, City I have in second just because I think the talent is still like I honestly think almost anyone could manage the side and they could finish in the top four places. Don't think Maresca will have them really challenging for the title, but I still think that they're talented enough that they can finish second. I do worry though, if they keep losing players and they don't replenish the squad,
Hmm.
it could get ugly, man. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
also
mean,
like vibes wise, it feels like it's like a
yeah,
changing of the guards.
yeah. I mean, last season, like like I was saying about like Liverpool, like they crawled to January. Like
Hmm.
they like barely survived till January, and then January, boom, Smenu, boom, Guehi, and they were good. I don't know if they can afford that this year. Like I generally don't think they have the depth to get like to make it to January, and then just like as they always do, just splash the cash however
Yeah.
much they want, and then like fix every hole in their squad. Like they're gonna lose Marmoush. They're not gonna have a backup for Holland if they lose him. Their midfield, like we said, like the depth is in numbers isn't good. I like their back line. I like their front three, but the midfield to me, it's just like I just the midfield just looks really bad. But I do rate Maresca as a manager, but
Hmm.
obviously like filling in Pep's shoes, like I mean this might be the hope speaking out of me, but like could we see a like an Alex Ferguson type of like
Where they're just in
downfall?
the shitter. 100%. I
I mean I would love that, but
Yeah. I mean, I think I might be underrating how much like Pep. Sir Alex is the perfect example because that's the magnitude of not only manager but like football icon that they're losing.
yeah.
And like he is Manchester City. Like I know that
Yeah.
Mancini had success, like they won titles prior to him arriving, but he really cemented them as like honestly the best club in the world for a time
Hmm.
there. And like everything about Manchester City was something that Pep built.
Yeah.
And like you can see in those videos from the dressing room, like how much the players really responded to him and the culture that he built. And you lose not only him, you lose Rodri at the spine
Yeah.
of your midfield. You lose
Huge.
Bernardo Silva, who's a
Hmm.
voice in the locker room. Like it's not just good players that are leaving. It's you're losing the identity of
Exactly.
what built this city dynasty. And that would be the worry. That my thing is like I still think it's gonna be match week one and it's gonna be Doku. Well, we'll see with the injury. But Doku, Holland, and then you'll still have Nico O'Reilly. You'll still have Gehi. You'll still have Donnarumma. You'll still have like there's quality in this side. I agree with you. The midfield would be a major concern. But yeah, if they, I don't know. The more I think about it, if you lose Marmoush too, I know he hasn't been great for them, but you're low on numbers with this
Yeah.
squad.
Yeah.
Like it,
Uh,
and they're like it's crazy to say they're in Europe for Man City because it's more. I was thinking of that more with like the Sunderlands of the
oh,
world where like they don't have
yeah.
squad depth, but like this is now a situation where like you don't like a couple of injuries and this could be very bleak. Like this
Dude,
be like
like
sixth or seventh finish.
dude, Holland, like Holland gets hurt, they're
Oh
fucked. I
yeah,
mean,
they're cooked.
but that's it's that's like saying if Arsenal loses Rice or
Right, right.
kind of thing. Like Barca loses Lamine Yamal or something like that. But I mean, genuinely, like before it was like Marmoush fills the shoe, like the boots and like you can get by kind of thing. But Holland's gonna have to play like 90 minutes twice a week, like for
Yeah.
almost the whole season.
Dude, he's gonna get injured.
Yeah. And he has a history of injury. Like it's not a crazy history, but he has a history of injuries. And another thing with the Pep stuff, dude, like the pool. Like you like signing players, like you could probably convince a player to sign single-handedly because you're gonna be working under Pep
Yeah.
Guardiola. But
Yeah,
now you're like
100%.
you're gonna be working under Enzo Maresca, and they're like, like what? I think that will actually be a bigger factor than people think. Like so, like them losing these players is also significant because they're not gonna be able to replace them the way that they want. So, but again, like you said, dude, I mean, Doku, Holland, Semenyo,
Yeah,
Cherokee
Semenyo, I
behind
didn't even
them,
mention him.
like
Yeah,
the Cherokee or Foden behind them, like
Elliot Anderson.
yeah, it's
Like it's still a very good
it's
squad.
still yeah, it's still like easily probably the second best squad in the league, but like again, the identity stuff and the mentality stuff
Yeah,
is there's a lot of question marks.
that's the biggest thing to me is like it's just and I really rate Semenyo and I really rate Cherky, but it is a new era for them. Like these are players who are gonna have to sort of pave their own city path. Like Semenyo's never won a title. Like
Hmm.
he's until he's done that, like he doesn't have it's a similar thing with Arsenal when we were, knocking on the door every year and we were second, second, second. It's like these players just haven't experienced what it
Yeah,
takes to get over the hump. And until you do it, you won't know it. So I mean and that's the thing with City is like they're risking potentially if you do have a drop off and say you finish fourth or fifth you might still have Champions League football, but the type of player that you're able to sign, as you said, starts to get lower. And
yeah,
then maybe next season you're sixth, and
yeah,
you can't offer players Champions League anymore. And that's how you fall into that United post Sir Alex phase where
yeah,
it's like it starts to get really, really bleak. And Arsenal after Wenger, like we had we had some dark years, man, where it was
yeah,
like, you know, like Arteta's first season, we were eighth and like we're losing matches we should never lose and starting lineups that were just you would just shake your head and be like, "Fuck you now, man."
yeah.
So,
From a city perspective, like. I know we're talking about next season, but dude, the near future looks it could look really rough. I mean, Holland, dude, don't be surprised to see him go to Madrid in the next 2 or 3 years. I don't think it'll happen next summer, but the summer after that, like, don't be surprised. I mean, a lot of these players probably signed on under the assumption that like I'm working under Pep Guardiola,
Yeah.
especially like Semenyo, Cherky,
Yeah.
Guehi, like those guys are probably like signing and we're probably like, dude, like Pep, like from Pep's mouth, like they were like, this is what our plan is for you, blah blah blah. And then now, like if things start going even slightly downhill, like those players are probably in their head, like, dude, like I signed to play under Pep Guardiola. I didn't sign for this bullshit.
Yeah.
So I think things and it's not a huge fan base either. It's not like a Liverpool or Man United where it's just
Right.
like inevitable that they'll eventually bounce back. Like things could look really rough.
Yeah. The only thing I would also say about this is like they did recoup a lot of money for Savinho, and they're
Hmm.
gonna probably get a lot of money for Marmoush as well.
Yeah,
And I would imagine they'll sign at least two more players before the window
100%.
closes.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
if it is like somebody the caliber of an Enzo, and then you also bring in, another big player, then we start to maybe have different conversations. But yeah, I agree. It's a perilous time for the club.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because like it feels like we had an era with like such like titans as managers where it was, Klopp, Guardiola, and then Arteta sort of rose up. He was kind of like the little brother to those two, and then he kind of
Yeah,
really rose up to that level last season. And now it feels like you're losing that second Titan, and it's like, who's next? Like, is it Xabi Alonso? Is it Iraola? Does he take the step and become one of those managers? So it's interesting. I think that like second, because there's always in every era of the Premier League, always been at least two, normally
yeah,
more, but at least two like
100%.
titans of the game as managers. And I think somebody's going to emerge, and maybe it is just Enzo. Like maybe he ends up just being brilliant for them, and they don't
Yeah.
skip a beat.
It could easily
Um,
happen. Yeah, 100%. He could easily do well and we could
yeah,
be look like idiots kind of thing. But these are just questions that we're raising. I'm not
yeah,
necessarily saying that's definitely what's going to happen, but I don't know.
yeah. Because I mean,
It-
last year you and I both were like dead set that Liverpool were going to win the league. I think I even said like I wouldn't be surprised if they get close to 100 points, and then things are just different, man. Like you
yeah,
never know. Like injuries happen, players get in bad form. A manager who you thought was great isn't great
yeah,
anymore. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Like City, there's a few clubs where I'm just like they could go two directions, and if it could go so differently. And City are definitely one of those. Let's move on to our awards. Who do you have as your player of the season?
it's going to be a player from Arsenal. I mean, like, yeah, or I mean, we didn't touch too much on Arsenal yet, but
Yeah,
I think Arsenal walks the title. Like, I mean, I was talking to someone about it the other day. Like, if they don't win it, luckily they got the monkey off their back with like winning it last season, but
yeah,
Arsenal should absolutely walk the title. I don't think anyone's even close to them. Like I genuinely think they should win it by at least 10 points. And I think Rice is going to be pivotal to that. So I think it should be Rice. I just don't see like you got Saka. Like if it was an Arsenal player, it's between Saka, Rice, and Gabriel.
yeah,
It's obviously one of those three, and Saka just with all the injuries and everything he's had recently, and like I'm not even convinced he's fully fit yet. Like he didn't even start the Community Shield, so
yeah,
and Gabriel, like he's just one of those players. Like he's gonna have bozo moments. So I think it just has to be Rice. I don't really see anyone else. Maybe if like Isak has a crazy season, maybe if
hmm.
Holland has a crazy season, but
That's the thing. It could be someone from a team that doesn't win the league, like last year.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, like Rice with all the minutes he played last season and stuff, like maybe he's not playing as much as he did like the last
That's
two
that's
seasons.
kind of what I wonder.
But
But
like even with Isak, like Ekitike is gonna come back eventually, and with his injury history, I think you can kind of like count him out. And then Holland, like I mean, we were just like questioning City, so
yeah,
I think Rice is just I think she's just the easy ones.
yeah. I because we didn't talk as much about Arsenal. I think we can loop that into this conversation because I agree. I think the player of the season will be an Arsenal player. I'm gonna go with Gabriel because I think this will be like his 2019 Van Dijk season where like I think everyone really appreciated Van Dijk prior to that, but that was sort of the season where it was like, okay, no, this is like the best center back in the world. And like he is, putting them up not only in the league, but like in Europe, he is stepping onto the pitch every day and shutting down the best forwards, the best wingers in the world. I think Gabriel, this can be that season for him where he sort of cements himself. And Saliba's going to be out for a long time. So I think he'll get some added praise for if they have a great defensive record
Yeah,
during that first period of the season. I think he'll get all the plaudits for that. And like he has David Raya behind him. He has Calafiore, Hincapié, Mascara, now maybe Konsa coming in, Timber, Ben White. Like there's so much infrastructure. And then you have Bruno G and Rice in front of you protecting you. Like there's so much that's perfect around him infrastructure wise.
yeah,
And I think he'll come up with his headed goals. I think he's kind of just the face of the club right now. Or like I think if you think of Arsenal in this era, like you kind of think of him because he's been with us throughout it, and him and Saka mostly. But yeah, I think this is his 2019 Van Dijk kind of season. And I think for Rice, I had him originally, and I kind of changed it last minute just because I agree with your point. Like I think Bruno G and him are gonna kind of rotate a decent bit just to keep them both fresh for
yeah,
all competitions. So yeah, I'm gonna edge it to Gabriel, but I think Declan's our best player, but I don't know if he will play enough matches or enough minutes.
yeah. The
But
only thing I'll say about like the recognition stuff is I will say
mhm.
like it does play a pretty decent role
Like the
in
narratives, you mean?
these awards. Yeah, like the
Yeah,
narratives when you log on to Twitter, what people are saying about,
yeah.
you know, Isaac and Salah and Holland and like Gabriel and these guys, like I think it does play a role. And people hate Gabriel.
Oh
Like
yeah, 100%.
people, I mean, people hate Arsenal, but they especially hate Gabriel. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, PSG penalty, like, I mean,
yeah.
the
Oh my
memes I
God.
was seeing, like, so I think that that could definitely play a role in like him winning an award, especially as
Yeah,
says PFA Player of the Year, like, and his play style is just like one of those guys. Like,
yeah.
he's
He's
scum.
nasty.
He's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's a scumbag.
He's a dickhead.
Like people are. I don't know if he'll receive the respect from like rival fans and stuff like that. Whereas like Van Dyke is like one of those. I mean, Van Dyke gets shit all the time for like
Yeah.
not making
Now,
tackles and
yeah,
whatnot and stuff. But I think
that's
it's a
true. That's a
little
good
bit
point.
different. I think like rival fans, like you see like your striker trying to like hold up play against Gabriel, and he's just
He's
like
just
fucking
tugging
like
him.
tugging their shirt and like
Yeah.
kicking the shit out of them, and like it pisses them off. So I think the recognition could play a little bit of role in that. But I could 100% see what you're saying. Like Arsenal this season could definitely end up with like 20 plus clean sheets, and you have no choice but to look at Gabriel and be like,
Could Raya get a shout?
go figure. I don't see a goalie
I
winning
know.
it.
That's it. Like I think Raya's best chance was last season, just
Yeah,
because
he
how
was
many
brutal.
how many amazing saves he made, not only like just crazy saves, but in big moments, like to win
Yeah.
big matches. I think if he didn't win it last season, he'll never win it.
Yeah, Raya was amazing last season. He's a great goalie, but I don't see it getting much better than last season.
No.
And I don't think a goalie's ever won it. I don't even know if they've ever even come close to winning it. So you can kind of rule him out. But
Yeah.
yeah, if Arsenal get 20 plus clean sheets, people haven't like, and Gabriel plays 38 games in the season, like people are gonna have no choice but to look at him and be like, like it's probably up because of him.
Yeah. I do think like it's good. It's a great point bringing up the narratives because like that's kind of my thought process for like Saliba missing time. But yeah, I just looked it up. Two goalkeepers have won the Player of the Year award, and it was in 1975 and 1977. So yeah, I
Who
think
was it?
it was Pat Jennings for Tottenham in 75 and Peter Shilton for Forest in
So you're
in
like,
77.
I was
So
like
yeah, I
fully
mean in the
expecting you to
modern,
say like
yeah.
big names, and I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
no.
like Van der Sar or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, no. That's what I was like, oh, somebody had to have won it like early 2000s, like in Layman or something. And no, no. In the modern Prem, nobody has won it. But yeah, so I think I would love for Gabriel to win. I agree. I think people hate him, which makes me love him more. But who are some of the breakout players that you have for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I've got so many. I mean, and this
Yeah.
factors into my like FPL team. I'm
Yeah.
like trying to find like the most like ridiculous guys to have in my team. So I think I'm like a genius or
It
something. But
works.
I mean, I'll lightly touch on a few that are kind of like Rio and Gamola. I
Yeah.
think it's just such an obvious breakout candidate. Trey and Yoni from Liverpool. He's with Curtis Jones leaving and us looking like we're not going to sign a replacement. Like I think they're fully expecting Trey and Yoni to be the one to fill his shoes, and I think he's like more than capable of that. And he's looked amazing in preseason, so
Yeah.
I think he can do that. At Villa, Buendia looked amazing at the second
Yeah.
half last season. Ian Matson with Luka Dean gone, like I think he could step up. Igor Jesus,
I like
William
that shout.
Sula, like I think,
I've been waiting because I watched him. I actually got to see him when he was playing the Brazilian league. And I was so impressed by him. I
yeah,
saw him live, and then I was just waiting for him to break out with Forest. And I think it's a great shout. I think he'll eventually be amongst the goals.
yeah, and he's in really good form in preseason.
Yeah.
They're not in Europe anymore. I think Chris Wood's hurt going into the season, so I think, and he was in really good form at the end of last season, so I could definitely see him. I could see Ndoye like helping him
Hmm.
out. William Osula for Newcastle was in great form at the end of like last season, but he does have some competition. Enzo Lefebvre for Sunderland has been in really
Hmm.
good form in preseason, and it looks like he's going to be like the guy that like, everything goes through him. So I could see him doing well. And then I had a bunch of Brighton guys like Diego Gomez, Hitchelwood, Vuskovic. I mean, I'm high on
Yeah.
Brighton this season, so I could see them. But if I had to pick one or two, I think I would say Igor Jesus, Enzo
Mm.
Lefebvre, and Trey and Yoni. I think those three
Yeah.
are my big ones.
I love the Igor Jesus shot. I'm excited for him. Yeah, I have Rio as well. I think this is the year where I think we've seen the flashes, but he just feels so inevitable now. Like
He's
I was
good.
watching him in preseason, and I texted in my group chat. I was like, I don't think he started the friendly, and then he came on, and I was like, he's gonna score. Like I bet you so much money, and he did in the second half. I think he's going to have a great season. I think some of my guys who are sort of just joining the league, who I think either through transfer or getting promoted. I think Basu Monitore from Newcastle. I brought him up earlier. I think he's going to be brilliant. Inject a bit of pace on the wing as well. Sean Sturr also for Newcastle. I'm high on some of these signings they made, and I mean all I've seen of him are like the tapes I've watched on YouTube and online, but he looks fucking class. And then Mamadou Sangare also brought him up for Brentford. Just feels like the next in a line of like Brentford players who just kind of break on
Yeah.
the scene, like the
Kind
Watara
of random
Djangos, Kevin
guys from like,
Schade,
yeah,
Igor Thiago. Like this feels like the next guy in that line. Christos Zolis. I know you also had him on one of your lists. What I've seen, dude, I've been very happily surprised with what I've seen from him. I knew his goal scoring record in Belgium, but I was kind of like,
unreal.
I because with Gyökeres last year, I was like, oh yeah, he scored a million goals, but it's a Portuguese league. He comes here, he immediately, I think he had like 5 assists
He has 5 assists in
in like three
preseason.
preseason matches. He's so direct. Like his movements remind me a lot of Alexis Sanchez. He's obviously like a lot less electric and explosive as an athlete than him, but very direct. I like just kind of like his intentionality in the final third gives us a different option than Martinelli. And then Brian Maggio, I brought him up earlier for
Brilliant.
Villa. He's one of those forwards. He struggles, and in that match against PSG, he really struggled to finish before he did finally get his goal. But he reminds me of like the Nicholas Jackson kind of forward, where it's just like they always pop up in goal scoring areas. And like
Yeah.
Erling Haaland is just a way better version of that, but like he's that kind of forward too, where it's like they're just always in the right
Just like
spot
chance magnets, dude.
and they just create chance after chance after chance. And Maggio really, really reminds me of one of those kinds of forwards. So I'm excited for him. Only 17 years old, and he'll have a lot of opportunity for Villa.
And if Watkins leaves, like if Watkins like
Yeah,
Villa let him go to Saudi, like
he's gonna get a lot of
it's
opportunity.
him and Tammy Abraham. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming he'll win that battle. With Villa, dude, it's so unfortunate. And this actually kind of factored into my prediction for them. It's so unfortunate that Manzambi and Majo are hurt going into the beginning of the
Yeah.
season. I mean, it hurt me for FPL because
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I had them in my squads and I was like, these are the biggest
I knew
sleepers
you'd have
ever.
Munzabi, yeah.
And like they're both like hurt. Like and it doesn't even seem like it's like 2 week injuries. Like it seems like they're going to be
Yeah.
out for like a month plus.
Yeah,
So
Munzami's like
I'm
a knee injury, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm like so upset for them that they're like missing the beginning of the season because it's going to take them a while to get back into it. But yeah, that game against PSG, man, Modric looked like unreal. Besides
Yeah.
like the finishing, like he was like he made William Patro
Yeah.
look like Johnny
Well,
Evans.
that's the thing is like I was on Twitter during the match and people were like, "Oh, this Macho is fucking shit. Like he's missing all these chances." I'm like, "Dog, do you realize how easy it is for him to create chances against
Yeah,
this PSG back line? Like
yeah.
this is an unreal performance for a
I
17-year-old."
I think it's like more impressive for someone to find like constantly be found in goal scoring positions than for them to just like get on the end of
Yeah.
goals and like score goals. Like you can either go down the Darwin Núñez path
I
where
was gonna say you've been scorned by that before though.
yeah, like Núñez and like kind of Nicholas Jackson where you're just like missing a million chances a game, but at least you're finding the chances. Or you can go like the Erling Haaland path where you're finding all the chances and you're scoring them.
Yeah.
So let's hope goes down the Haaland path. But yeah, I think it's great when you see your striker just like constantly having chances.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited for him. Who are some of your newcomers that you're excited about?
Yeah, I had Zolas in there. I mean, I like also like it looks like Arsenal wants to get rid of Martinelli, but Martinelli wants to stay and just like collect his
Yeah.
pick. But I mean, they got rid of Trossard. Like, who's gonna really be playing left wing? Like maybe Eze, but like it looks like Zolas it's his spot to
Unless we
lose.
sign someone. Unless we
Yeah,
hijack Barcola.
dude, you'll never see me on this podcast ever again if
Yeah.
that happens.
They'll put
But
that evil in the air.
yeah, like him. I actually had Barcola listed here, but then I should put an asterisk next to it because like who knows if that's even gonna happen. But
Yeah.
some guys I mentioned earlier, Palacios for Fulham, I think he'll be brilliant. Muharemovic for Leeds, and you know me, I always have to have some crazy like ridiculous sleeper in here. I
Yeah.
got Tyreek George for
I
Everton.
like that. I read that on the prep and I really he looked fucking good in their
He's
preseason.
looked good in the preseason. Honestly, like Chelsea, it wasn't last season, it was 2 seasons ago, I think, when they won the Conference League. He would usually start those games, and
He
you know,
had
me, I was
moments.
like a degenerate better, so I'd like be betting on Chelsea's Conference League games, and I would be like watching their Conference League games, like just to see what happened. And Tyreek George always looked like really good. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, again, it's a Conference League, they're playing teams from like Israel and
Yeah.
like
Evil Saka.
Uzbekistan and stuff. Yeah. But like he looked great. So I
Yeah.
think for Everton, he could definitely light it up. So that's my sleeper pick.
I like that. Yeah, I honestly forgot about him. And then I was watching because I like just going through YouTube and watching all like the preseason highlights of all these matches. And I watched the Everton, I forget who they were playing, but he absolutely lit it up and
Yeah.
he scored a worldie as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm excited for him. Palacios as well. That's a good shot. I'm excited to watch him. And I think Arbeloa is gonna give him a big chance. Who are some of your surprise teams who you think might sort of overachieve a little bit?
Yeah. So like kind of touched on it with the predictions. Brighton's probably my number one. I think, I mean, I don't know if you can really say like surprise team because they've been in and around those Europe spots for the last few years, but I definitely think that this year could be the year. Like they're like we can be in Europe and also compete for Europe
Yeah.
domestically. But I think they could even break into the top six. Forest, I definitely think like I have them listed as 10th, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're in that top half, which would definitely I feel like that would surprise a lot of people with
Yeah,
Glasner in there.
definitely.
I had Bournemouth, but I'm kind of second thinking that honestly. Like I just don't know. There's a lot of question marks there, so I'll go with Brighton and Forest.
Yeah. Yeah, I have Spurs, which I honestly I'm not sure how much it would surprise people if they were in the top six. Because I kind of feel like every preview that I read or watch, most people kind of have them right
Yeah,
around five, six, seven. So I had Spurs on here just because I think that they're also just gonna play such a better brand
yeah.
under De Zerbi, and especially with the signings that they brought in. I think they're gonna play a much more attractive style. Leeds, we brought it up earlier. I'm
Actually,
so excited to watch them.
I should add Leeds. That's a
And
good
I
shout.
think people just kind of assume that they're going to be in like that 15th range, but I think this is the year that they kind of push and try to work their way into the back half of the top 10. But yeah, and then Brentford was my last one. I think people just kind of forget that like they were really fucking good last season
Hmm.
and they're not going to have to play in Europe. And Keith Andrews, I think, is like a top five or six manager in the Prem right now. So I think Brentford are going to be good. I love that front three. Watara Django, I think, is so underrated.
Mhm.
And yeah, those are my three surprise teams. What about your disappointments?
Again, Newcastle's Palace, Sunderland. I don't really think you can.
Both the Tyneside teams.
Yeah, I mean, you could maybe say an Ipswich or a Coventry, just because,
Mm,
especially Ipswich, they've splashed the cash. So if they do get
yeah,
relegated, they could be a disappointment. So I guess you could put them in there. But Sunderland, I feel like after last season, like that was just like an amazing season for them. You would hope that they like make that next step and like are pushing for the top half of the table. Like, but I just don't see it happening. Newcastle, I think losing Eddie
yeah,
Howe, Palace losing Oliver Glasner. I feel really bad for Palace fans, to be honest, because
yeah,
this last year and the year before, like they're probably off such a high off of that.
yeah,
Like it's gonna be a really like hard come down. Like
yeah,
going from FA Cup and Conference League to like I think they're gonna be fighting relegation.
yeah. I agree.
And I just don't see what positives they have to look forward to. I mean, they have like somehow they've retained Mateta and Sarr and
I think
Wharton.
I don't know if they're going to retain Sar.
Yeah.
It seems like some of this team's picking up for him to
Yeah.
leave.
And if they lose him or Wharton, and honestly,
Yeah,
I mean all three of those guys, like I'm saying, I don't know how they maintain them up until this point, but very well within the next week and a half, by the time the window closes, we could see all three of them
yeah.
gone. And I think if they lose two of those three, even if they lose one of those three, I think they're screwed. Like I genuinely think we could see them getting relegated, those three. So
Yeah,
uh
what if you were to like say Ipswich did stay up? Who is Palace the side that you think would go down?
yeah, I think so. Because
Yeah.
especially now that we're saying it out loud, I think at least one of those three are leaving. And I think there's probably like a 50% chance that two of those three leave. I mean, Mateta was almost out the door in January last year. So like his backup is like Strand Larson and
Yeah.
Nketiah.
Yeah.
Like I think they're screwed.
Dark.
Even if they retain all three, I think I could see them going down. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think things are looking really bad for Palace.
Yeah. No, I have them in my three as well. Yeah, I honestly I have Sunderland as well too. And like it's so crazy to me because like I think there's a world where they go from like the highest of highs. Reggie Labrie brings them into Europe. They're like incredible last season. They do the double against Newcastle, who nobody expected. And I think there's an outside chance that they go down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're playing in Europa League and then simultaneously like fighting relegation.
Wigan.
Yeah, literally. So I have them. I don't think the squad's deep enough for them. They didn't do enough in the window either to kind of maintain depth. So I think they're going to struggle. I agree with you on Palace. I think they're going to struggle, and I think they're probably going to lose Sar. And then I had Fulham as my last one. I just I I like the transfers they made, but I'm just not sold that this group is and this manager specifically is like a massive improvement from last year. And I just think a lot of other clubs have improved.
hmm
So those would be my three. Who is your Golden Boot winner?
You know me, I'm not gonna sit here and say Holland. Like
Yeah.
we did that World Cup preview. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh
Yeah.
Holland, Mbappe, Kane. So I went with Isak. I think he's
I
gonna
like
do
it.
insane this year. I genuinely think we'll see Isak from 2 seasons ago when he was
Yeah.
just behind Salah for the Golden Boot and everything. And like we said earlier, it's just a question mark of him staying fit. Like he's we don't have a backup striker for him at this
Yeah.
point. So hopefully Iraola has some common sense and subs Isak off at like the 75th, 80th mark, like minute
Yeah.
mark every season or every game. But I think if Isak stays fit and Areola gets things going early, I think Isak can light up the league again. And
Yeah.
what we were saying about City maybe taking a step back, like Holland might not be scoring those goals that he was the last few seasons.
This is true.
So yeah, I'm always got to go with my sleeper picks.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like not I had Holland. But I like and I was looking at the odds right now. And Isak is second. He's plus 850. So I think that's great value, honestly.
I mean,
Igor Tiago's third. I think there's
uh,
literally no shot that he has a season like he
yeah,
had
the
last year
only other
again.
person I could maybe see is like João Pedro.
Yeah,
Like,
he's one, two, three, four. He's fifth. He's below Ollie Watkins and Igor Tiago. Well,
yeah,
he's tied with Ollie Watkins, which I think is kind of crazy.
yeah, I think that's pretty crazy.
And then Gyökeres is in sixth, plus 2,200, tied with Benjamin Šeško, and then Semenyo. So like, yeah, I really think it's a two-horse race here between Holland and Isak.
Yeah, 100%.
And if Isak does return to form the way that we both think he will, and if Verts is also creative and Rio adds some juice in the attack, I think there's a very real path for
Hmm.
Isak.
I agree.
And I think that's probably the best value you could get. Or João Pedro.
100%.
Yeah. But yeah, those are our picks. Any other things you're looking out for this season or just anything you're excited for?
The Champions League should be, I think this is might be like the juiciest the Champions League has been in a few years.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, a little bit of bias just like looking back and seeing that PSG have won it 2 years in a row, but I think PSG are taking a step back this year. Like I don't see how they improved at all. I think losing if this is assuming they lose Barcola and
Right.
whatnot, but they didn't improve their midfield, they didn't improve their defense. The goalie situation, like it looks like they wanted Suzuki, they didn't get him, so they're still going with
Yeah.
Safonov in goal, who's I think is dog shit. And I think Arsenal have taken a step forward. I was actually saying to my brother, who's an Arsenal fan, like I think if you guys signed Vinny, like if you guys got that over the line, I genuinely think that the quadruple, like it sounds insane. I think the
Oh,
quadruple would have been like on the cards.
we almost made it through the pod without bringing it up. Yeah. I know,
Like
dude. I literally there was like a 24-hour period where I was like, dude, we're about to be like a dynasty. Like this is about to be the
yeah,
craziest shit of all time.
I mean,
And then yeah, it all just fell down.
because when you look at Arsenal over the last like 3-ish years or whatever, like all these years that like Arteta's just been consistently second. Like it
Hmm.
was always left wing striker and whoever your eight was. Like those
Right.
were always the big three question marks, right? So now you have Bruno G, like Gyökeres, Havertz. Like I think they're good enough.
I like
Like
Havertz.
they get
Yeah.
the job done. But if you got a Vinny at left wing, like with him and Bruno G, I think that would have solidified. Like I think
Oh
your
yeah.
squad would have been like almost been complete. Like I think the following year, the only question mark would have been like replacing Yorker as a striker.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, no,
I genuinely think, and then now you have Konsa as well. So to like, I think he was the final piece of like the defensive depth with Timber and Saliba's injuries. Like if you guys signed Vinny, honestly I would have went straight to FanDuel, straight to DraftKings, and I would bet on you guys to win everything.
every competition. Yeah,
100%. Like
dude, that was so dark because when it was reported that he extended with Madrid, I was just like, of course he did. Like, of course he did. Like, why did I let myself believe that we were signing fucking Vinny Jr.?
yeah.
But it did feel real, and like the reporting was that like there was like a genuine
I
interest
mean,
from
it
him.
was Ornstein, and like
Yeah,
Ornstein, Fabrizio is probably the most reliable, but every once in a while he'll say something you're just like when it comes to like these big contract extensions, you're
yeah,
like, oh, like is Arsenal really there? And then when Ornstein comes out and says it too, then that's when you're really like, oh shit, like
yeah. This is
this
real.
is real.
Yeah, yeah,
So I can't blame you. I mean, it's exciting times to be an Arsenal fan, but now you're going into the season. It looks like Zolas is like the only left winger.
yeah.
Looks
Which like
interesting.
I like
He isn't
Zolas, but
horrible.
I think we're getting really excited about like three preseason matches and like we could be 15 matches into the season and he has like no goals and like three assists and we're like
Yeah,
could be
yeah,
nice to have like Barcola out there, Vinny out
yeah.
there right
I
now.
I do think as a Liverpool fan, like with all this Barcola stuff, like I know he's been telling PSG he's prioritizing Liverpool, but this whole time I've been like, when is Arsenal going to step in? Like,
Yeah.
there's zero reason, especially with like the French like history that you guys have,
Yeah.
like Vieira and Henry and Perez and all these guys, like and Wenger. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't go all in on Barcola. Like, I think Barcola is like just the level below Vinny, where like if you would have signed him, I would be like, all right, maybe not the quad, but like maybe the treble.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, I think he would take you guys to a whole nother level. I don't understand why you guys aren't all in for him, but
Yeah, I don't know. The thing about the way that Arsenal does business now is like Andrea Berta is he has to get like the right value for players, which is
mhm.
like it was a huge thing with a couple of the signings that we made, especially with Bruno G, is like he was unwilling to go up till I think like Newcastle wanted like 90 mil originally, like between 90 and 100, and he was just unwilling to go above 75, and that just stalled it for so long. until eventually he was just like begging to leave and they agreed to it. But I think like the price tag on Barcola, they might just be like, it's just not worth like the negotiation, especially with like
Yeah.
how limited time there is now left in the window.
Mhm.
And I think we put all our eggs in the Vinny basket, unfortunately. Like maybe if that pursuit was like in a weird way, if we were less successful in that pursuit, like it might have helped us because we would have had more time to focus on
Yeah,
like
exactly.
looking at other wingers.
Hmm.
But yeah, we really put all our eggs in the Vinny basket, which in the end sucks, but
You can't blame them.
yeah. And it's also just like it's such classic Arsenal for like all of us to be like, we were fucking close to getting Vinny. Like like he thought about it.
Yeah, like you're like arguing with like rival fans. You know, they're
Yeah.
always like oh, like Arsenal's a bigger club or like whatever. Like I could so
Yeah.
see Arsenal fan being like, did Vinny Jr. like even
Yeah.
think
Oh,
about
oh, that
joining
will
the United?
100% be
Like,
thrown around. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
like people talk about like the pool of clubs and be like, oh well, we had Vinny like
it's
hesitating to sign that contract.
right.
Like,
Which like the whole time he could have just like he might have just been using us to get his extension. So I mean it
yeah,
is what
which
it is.
is it's probably
But
what was happening to
oh
be honest.
I,
But I will say about like the little bit of like haggling over like the 5 to 10 mil, like with us, like we do the exact same thing, if not
yeah.
even worse. And like that's exactly what's going on with Barclay right now. In the long run, it's a very good thing to be doing.
Yeah.
Like so clubs know that you're not like the United of the past where you're just like, all right, fine, we'll spend the extra 10 mil, like
Yeah.
we'll but in the moment, good
Oh, it
dude, it's the
sucks.
most frustrating thing
Yeah.
ever. Like, I mean, it's happening right now. Like this Barclay shit has been going on for like a month and a
Yeah.
half. It's like
That's been
so
going on
annoying.
longer than the Arsenal Bruno G thing.
Oh, 100. Yeah,
And
it's
that
been
felt like
going
an
on
eternity
so.
for me, bro.
Yeah, and like Fabrizio's like he's like quote tweeting. You know, he always like quote tweets his like past stuff to like prove he's right. But he's
Oh
like
yeah.
Barclay's wanted Liverpool since like April or May, and you're like Jesus, dude. Like he's wanted
Yeah.
us for four like 4 or 5 months, and you're like we're just like sitting here like haggling over like 5 10 mil, and you're like,
But that's
gee,
the thing is like when the player really wants to move, that's when the clubs are like, we're not budging. Like
yeah,
if he wants us, then why would we pay you what
exactly,
we know we can get less? And like eventually they will probably bend and you'll get probably a
yeah,
more favorable deal. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean those do fall apart sometimes.
Mhm.
But yeah, I still think you guys have the best track to him. I don't even think Arsenal have really like entered the race at all. I wouldn't be surprised if we do sign another attacker. I know Julian Alvarez has been another one that we've been linked to a lot. He's an interesting one because he's kind of a tweener. Like he's one of those forwards who likes to like float out to the wing a bit, and he plays underneath as well as like the second striker, which honestly is Havertz's best role. And honestly, when him and Gyökeres played together last season, there were moments where I was like, oh, this there's something here. So I'd be interested to see like if they brought in Julian Alvarez, what that looks like with a bit more of a rotation. I don't
Mhm.
know.
I
It
don't
just
I don't see how you sign Alvarez without selling Gyökeres.
I think we would. I think
Yeah.
we would. It's just
Um,
like, yeah.
I don't know. And then like if you guys do sell Martinelli, like I mean, I feel like you're almost forced to sign a winger. And then like who are you gonna go for? Like, what are you gonna get? Like Rafa Leao? Like
I'd take
I
him.
I'm very curious about that.
I'd still take him, bro.
I mean,
I'd
yeah,
still take Osimhen, bro. I feel like we should have signed Osimhen like the past four transfer windows.
yeah,
But I guess like his wages are just so crazy in Turkey that we're
yeah,
not willing to. But yeah, yeah, Leao is another one who's like he's a weird case where it's like, yeah, in theory, Rafael Leao is fucking great. And then like you watch a full match of him and you're like, he kind of didn't fucking do anything.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
he had a couple runs like dribbling where it's like, oh, that's class. And then like other than that, you're just kind of left being like, I wish there was a bit more.
yeah. I
So
agree.
like I think anything right now, especially if we lose Martinelli, anything would be an improvement on the left wing,
Mhm.
but it might just end up being Zolas and like Eze out there.
Yeah,
So
which
not the end of
isn't
the
the
world,
worst
but
thing in the world.
yeah, but yeah, but I'm excited. Match tomorrow, Arsenal Coventry kicking off. We got some fantasy prem. Hattie, you won the league last year, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Hattie reigning champion there. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. And folks, we will see you again sometime during the season.